Have you ever been in a relationship and had this gut feeling that something was off, but you just couldn't put your finger on what? Maybe you start to notice subtle shifts, the way she looks at you, or doesn't, the way she sits beside you, or how conversations seem to trail off a lot more often. We're going to talk about the body language sign that reveals she's already planning to leave, and exactly how to spot it before the conversations get hard. Let's get right into it. Imagine you're sitting together, maybe on the couch watching a show, or at the dinner table just eating a meal. In the past, it felt easy, right? You'd lean in. Maybe your knees would touch under the table. Hands would brush. You'd share glances and jokes back and forth. But now, there's a space between you. Sometimes literal, sometimes more like a wall you can't see. There's a quiet way she leans away, not reaching across the couch or the space between your chairs. When someone is emotionally invested, their natural instinct is to move toward the person they care about, to close the distance any way they can. But the opposite is just as true. When the heart starts to pull away, the body follows. She leans away instead of in, folds her arms instead of letting her hands rest open, and her feet keep pointing toward the door, or anywhere but you. Experts call this closing off or displaying closed body language. It shows up in ways like folded arms, crossed legs turned away from you, or even a pillow or bag placed on the lap like a barrier. It's like she's putting up a shield, and usually she doesn't even realize she's doing it. These gestures are almost always unconscious, but once you know to look for them, they're impossible to ignore. Here's a story you might recognize. Picture having a talk at night after a long day. One of those conversations where you're both unwinding. She's right next to you, but it feels like miles. This isn't about blaming anyone. Sometimes these things just happen. The emotional distance starts to show up physically because we're hardwired that way. When your feelings shift, when you start to feel uncertain about a relationship, your body compensates, adding little bits of safety space. If the pattern becomes consistent, you've got a sign that things in the relationship are changing. Let's talk about something nearly everyone overlooks: eye contact. When you first started out, you probably couldn't stop staring at each other. You'd catch her looking your way, you'd lock eyes, and time would almost slow down. It's one of the easiest and most powerful ways lovers stay connected. As that bond begins to fade, so does the eye contact. She starts looking past you, or above your shoulder, or at her phone during conversation. The long, meaningful looks turn into quick glances, if anything at all. If you notice that those soulful looks have turned into a series of avoided glances, especially when you're having emotional or serious conversations, it's a significant signal. The eyes are sometimes called the window to the soul, and when someone closes the blinds, it's time to pay attention. Physical touch is another area where distance can be stark. In loving relationships, even the simplest moments become excuses to reach out. A hand on the knee, a touch on the back, holding hands while walking. If she starts avoiding these gestures or pulls away from your touch, it's a clear sign that the comfort level has changed. Maybe you notice that when you try to cuddle, she finds reasons to shift away, or her goodnight hugs are more robotic than warm. The loss of everyday contact isn't usually dramatic. It erodes quietly, one missed hug at a time, one move to the other side of the bed. Suddenly you realize you haven't actually touched in days. The more she does it, the stronger the subconscious message. She doesn't want to let you in right now. But the biggest, most telling body language signal? It's withdrawing from shared moments. Let's break down what that really means. Back when everything felt good, nearly every moment, big or small, could be special. Watching a silly TV show, grocery shopping, driving together, listening to music, sitting in silence but still feeling close. When she's already planning to leave, these moments start to fade to gray. She might choose to sit in a different room, take longer getting ready in the morning, spend more time out with friends, or simply become less present when you're together. Maybe you notice her checking her phone more often or seeming preoccupied even when there's nothing urgent going on. a really telling detail is a lack of mirroring. People in sync will mirror each other's movements. If you lean in, she leans in. You laugh, she smiles. Also, if you're ready to fast-track your success, check out my new course in the description or comments for exclusive strategies. And sometimes, she'll sigh more, look weary when you suggest doing something together, or even yawn and check the time when you talk, signaling boredom or desire to escape. It's not always obvious. It's the cumulative effect of dozens of these small moments that create a distance so wide it stops feeling like a relationship and starts feeling like two people living side by side. Now, if you see one of these signs once or twice, it's not cause for panic. Everyone has off days. But the important thing to watch for is patterns. If you're continuously noticing closed-off body language, less touch, less eye contact, and fewer shared moments, your gut might be right. She could be mentally preparing to move on. According to couples therapists, emotional withdrawal always precedes physical withdrawal. Once someone starts checking out emotionally, their body starts to follow suit, one unconscious gesture at a time. What's fascinating is how universal these signs are. It's also worth noting the difference between someone who's just stressed or distracted versus someone emotionally checking out. If she's dealing with work drama or family issues, her body language might be closed off for a while. But when things get better, she returns to you, both in spirit and proximity. But if the coldness lasts for weeks or months, and she seems less and less invested in the relationship, it's more likely a sign of something deeper. At this point, you might be wondering, okay, so what exactly does it mean if I see all these signs? Can I fix things? How do I approach her without making it worse? Before you jump to conclusions or confront her, take a step back. Remember, body language is a reflection of what's going on internally, but it's not always the full story. Sometimes couples drift for reasons neither person fully understands. If you sense that the distance is growing, the worst thing you can do is ignore it. I miss being close to you. Give her a chance to express what's on her mind and listen without interruption. The 4 most destructive behaviors in a relationship, according to the Gottman Institute, are criticism, defensiveness, contempt, like eye-rolling, sneering, dismissing, and stonewalling. That's when someone completely shuts down or gives the silent treatment. These can show up in body language too. Contempt, especially, is a major red flag. It's not just distancing, but active disgust or ridicule. If she starts rolling her eyes, sneering, or making dismissive jokes at your expense, that's often the final warning sign before a breakup. It's also key to be honest with yourself. Are you mirroring any of this distant body language back? Sometimes, one partner pulls away because the other is also retreating, even if they don't mean to. Relationships are two-way streets. Self-awareness can go a long way in breaking the negative cycle. Whether it's leaning away, closed-off posture, avoiding shared eye contact, or a lack of mirroring, it all adds up to a silent goodbye that often happens before the real conversation about leaving ever takes place. Let's zoom in on the science for a second. When couples are in sync and feel comfortable with each other, their bodies naturally relax, even mirroring each other's breathing, posture, and expressions. If you suddenly notice that the intimacy is gone, her posture is stiffer, her arms are crossed, her face is impassive, it's a signal her brain might be preparing for a major change. So what can you do if you see these signs? First, resist the urge to panic or chase desperately for her attention. That usually backfires and creates more distance. Instead, try to gently bring back shared positive moments. Little rituals, old jokes, or inviting her participation in shared decisions. Sometimes, reconnecting with what brought you together can crack that wall of silence. Now, for anyone thinking, can she come back from this? Does body language always mean it's over? The answer is more hopeful than you'd think. Sometimes couples go through hard phases. Life gets in the way, stress tolls pile up, and people cocoon for a while. But if both partners are willing to communicate honestly, acknowledge the distance, and take steps to reconnect, old patterns can be undone. That's why noticing body language isn't about catching your partner in the act, but about respecting how she truly feels and having the courage to talk about it. If you've made it through this video, you're probably thinking about someone specific. Maybe you're worried because you've noticed these signs. Maybe you're feeling a distance yourself and wondering if she's feeling the same way. I want you to know, whatever happens next, awareness is the first step toward change. Thanks for watching. If you want to get the results you wish for fast, then check my limited time offer on my new course, which will skyrocket your success in dating. Click the link right now down below in the description or in the comments, and grab this opportunity. See you in there.